What's up, guys? Thanks for watching the podcast. I truly appreciate it. I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe from you. That helps the YouTube channel grow. And I wanted to drop in and remind you one more thing. If you have any friends, family, or anyone you know looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, please have them call me. Get in touch with me via email at blake@blakebaker.net or on Instagram at blakebakerrealestate. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Under Contract podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Under Contract podcast. I have my new acquaintance here from Sharpe Services. Why don't you introduce yourself to the fine people of League City, Texas?
Yes. Hey, my name is Lori, owner of Sharpe Services, and we are a local AC company.
So, like I said, I had seen some of your content I think I originally posted in Talk of League City, just trying to figure out who does podcasts.
Yeah.
As a business owner, it's a great way to get in front of different other business owners and exchange referrals. And, me being a broker and you being an AC company,
right?
Realtors, we need AC companies, and
yes.
it's a great two-way relationship. But you were one of the first people I saw, and I reached out to you and you replied right back.
Right.
So just run me through a little bit about your company, how you got started, what your background is, and kind of from the beginning moving up to today.
Yeah, so I'm pretty young to be in the industry. I was kind of raised in this industry. So my former father-in-law had an AC company. He was a veteran, and when he came home, I think it was in 1997 is when he established his. And I was just kind of raised in that. So it was really just something I understood. And I've always loved mechanics. In high school, I took auto mechanics. I was very much a tomboy, and so I've always really enjoyed mechanics as a whole, even before all of that. So the first time I got in a van, he kind of threw me a key map and was like, get us there. He was over in Webster. And I just kind of learned from there. And then in 2011, I had my second son, and I realized that I could stay at home and I could do the dispatching and I could do claims processing, because we do work with a lot of insurance companies.
Really?
So I learned how to take, at the time, everything was on receipts and paper invoices. I learned how to do QuickBooks from the ground up. That was a fun task. And then from there, just started learning how to process claims, how to work with insurance companies, home warranties, homeowner insurance claims, just kind of the whole nine.
Do you feel like it was a big advantage to learn that side of the business first?
I do, because I think that a lot of times when you call any construction company as a whole, you're just speaking to a receptionist. And I think it's very important that you speak to someone who has field knowledge, or they have some idea of what you're calling about. Mm-hmm. So by learning the field side before I really hopped into the accounting side, by the time it came to the accounting, I knew how I needed to break down my chart of accounts, because I understood job costing. I understood what it looked like in the field prior to the accounting side. So when it came to setting up the computer systems and it came to your chart of accounts and your itemization, I had firsthand knowledge of what that needed to look like. So I think that was a huge advantage for sure.
Because I feel like your typical person that starts an AC company, they maybe worked as a tech or somebody or at a commercial AC. I see a lot of commercial guys do that.
Yeah.
So I feel like they actually work on AC units. They get enough experience under their belt to where they're like, I know enough people, I could be doing this myself. So they start the company. But then you have to learn the business side of it, which is, like you said, the QuickBooks, the customer relationships, the dispatching. So the fact that you nailed that first, it was I feel like that's almost better, because then at that point, doing the actual AC fixing, you've been around that your whole life. So you came in better prepared. I think it's better almost the way you did it.
Yeah. It's cool. You know, I don't think a lot of people are raised with trade skill anymore. I think it's kind of a lost art. And I think it is really the backbone of America. It's so important.
So I have some friends that own a grinding company called BW Grinding. I think I had one of their hats over here somewhere, but they do outer like OD grinding for anything that spins, like shafts, like man, you name it. Like say the middle of a jet engine has a shaft that spins, so it has to be ground down to like micron level accuracy,
right? And
they can't find guys.
Yeah,
they cannot find grinders, guys to run their machines. They're pulling guys out of California. I have a relationship with them where when they bring guys in, they'll kind of, hand their client over to me and say he needs to find a house to buy or rent or whatever. Yeah. So, but I was like, you guys can't find somebody that'll run a machine for, I mean, they get paid well. I mean, it's cause it has to be right. I mean, that type of stuff. And my brother-in-law he's about to graduate from LaPorte High School. Cool. And I'm telling him all the time, I'm like, dude, if college isn't for you, don't go just do it just because you feel like you should, which was what I did. Yeah. And I got a business degree, whatever, no one cares. Right. But I told him, I was like, dude, his dad's also an electrician, my father-in-law. He works at Lubrizol as an electrician. So I'm like, go do that. Right. Or a plumber or something like that, where no matter what happens with the economy, you're still needed. Yeah. Because, dude, real estate right now, it's no secret that, with the climate of the country right now and with interest rates and everything, we're slowing down. Correct. So I'm thinking what else could I be doing? Not that I'm going to quit real estate, but rental properties or whatever, where I could be like, okay, no matter what happens, this money's still coming in. Right. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I love trade skill. I think it's so important. My middle son, he's 13. He's been out with my husband a bit, and I think it's so important to teach the younger generation trade skill. My middle son is autistic, and he does not really thrive in the public school environment. And I am so excited he wants to go to trade school for high school. Yeah. And I've pretty much told him, anywhere you want to go to school, you pick it. You name it, you pick it, I'll take you there. I don't care where it is, because I think especially with his autism, I always say that he's been a fish who's been judged by his ability to climb a tree. Yeah. And he is so talented and so creative and good with his hands. And he understands complexities that aren't in a textbook. And he needs that to be harnessed. Mm-hmm. And he has taken an interest to air conditioning. He's been on some installs. He's been on some diagnostics. And he does very well. He listens to direction well, and he's good with his hands. And I think it's so important that we go back to basics in America. And I think we've lost a lot of that. 100%. For sure. I could not agree more.
My 17-year-old, for example, he wants to go for mechanical engineering. He's
beautiful.
Very good at textbook. He's in all gifted classes, the honors classes, and he's very good in school. He thrives in the public school system. And I think there's a route for everyone. I think there's a route for the blue collar guys. I think there's a route for the guys who want and need a degree. The world needs both. Mm-hmm. But I also think that there needs to be a lot of focus on the trades.
I think the public school system is so outdated. It's like, I don't understand why we're still doing this. Yeah. Why are we doing this to our kids? How many kids have you seen that you could just tell they're so bright, but they just can't sit still? Yeah. I know firsthand several guys who either didn't graduate high school or barely couldn't wait to get out of school so they could start their business, and they're millionaires today. Yep. So I forget the saying. There's an old saying. It's the B students work for the C students and the A students are teachers. Yeah. Or something like that.
Yeah, I believe it, because there's a route for everyone, but I think that part of the things that the school system needs to recognize that it doesn't is that there are different routes, and there should be diversity in those routes. And they took the trade skills out of high school. And I don't really understand why, because when I went to school, like I said, auto mechanics was an option.
Yeah.
And, you know, auto mechanics and HVAC are very, very similar. If you know how to work on engines, I can almost guarantee you can work on an air conditioner. They're very comparable. And there's just, I don't understand why we don't push that more. The electricians, the plumbers, the air conditioners, you know, just all of it, because there's not only job security, there's a need for it. And there is a true characteristic that fits into that field. And many kids who may feel lost in the public school system, like my son, who feel like they just can't fit in, why are we pushing them to fit in? They have an avenue. Why are we not exercising that avenue for them?
Right.
So
if you're a parent and you have a kid that's either about to graduate high school, or maybe they graduated high school and they're just kind of in that in-between period,
yeah,
what would you tell them, what kind of conversation would you tell them to have with their kid about doing something like this?
Give it a shot. I would say try to find a company that's willing to take on a green helper and let them try it. The worst thing that could happen is they don't like it. I taught at Tulsa Welding School for pretty much one semester of a certificate semester when I was in between I got my license in 2015, but I opened up my own DBA in 2019. So I had about a year where I was really establishing a customer base and getting all the tools and everything, because the tools for this trade are thousands upon thousands of dollars. And so I worked at Tulsa Welding School off of Greens Road for a semester. And, you know, we had kids in there, not kids, really young adults, and they would come in, and a lot of them, once they actually got in the field, they realized they didn't like it.
Right.
Because I think you don't understand how hot Texas is until you're in somebody's 145 degree attic and there is no AC, and you're working around, 120 volts, 240 volts, whatever it is. You're working with electricity, sweat dripping on your eyes. You're laying down, there's a rafter in your rib, and you're trying to just get that one bolt, you know? And it is difficult. And so I think that any parent who has a kid who they think needs to kind of push towards the trade, whatever it is, find a company who will hire green. A lot of times the installers, the really kind of lower like labor, they'll hire green, and let them see if they have a passion for it, because welding is the same. Get them out there, because we battle the elements in any trade that you go to. And in Texas, that means when it's 110 outside, we are in your attic, and it is well over 110, so just get them out there, let them try it. The worst thing that could happen is they don't like it and it's not for them. But I think in every success, the way you get to success is failure.
So if they did want to do this and they like it, if they were to get on with a company that will hire green and give them a little on the job training, they still have to go get a certificate, right?
Correct. Yeah.
What is that process?
There's San Jacinto College locally has it. They have the certificate program, I think as fast as 16 weeks. So it's not a super long one. And now, of course, you can go all the way on and get your associate's degree as well. But, there's many spur offs in air conditioning as well. So let's say you get into it, but you don't necessarily want to do the labor portion. There's the CAD systems, there's design, there's estimating. Like we've done the Xfinities. We did the Xfinity locally at League City, 646 and 45. Mm-hmm. And that was a whole new process for me, because I didn't know how to read blueprints when I started. And I worked and I took a course and I figured out how to read blueprints and how to do estimating. And estimating in and of itself is its own beast. So, you can get into it and not necessarily like the labor side, but like the physics of it. And like our guys, we work with tech support on, especially the communicating systems now. As the SEER ratings have gone up, we've had to have communicating systems and those higher ratings, like an 18 SEER or a 20 SEER that communicate. Those all have boards, control boards on them. And we'll get our guys in the field on the phone with tech support. Somebody needs to be tech support.
It's techie.
Yeah,
it is getting to a point with AC systems where it's like half of it's a computer.
Yeah. It is. And so there's so many spur offs if you don't want to do the labor, but you're never going to know you're interested in that spur off unless you get out and do the labor.
Yeah.
So it's a process.
I mean, that's anything almost, though. You got to really do something for about a year to figure out if you really,
for sure,
if you want to do it or not. When I graduated college, again, I got a business management degree, which is, if you're going to go to college, pick something like specific. That's what I would tell you. Anyway, I went to work for a home builder. So we were building townhomes in the Heights. So it's like, I'll never forget the first day I pull up and the guy that's training me, he walks up and he's like, "You're the new guy?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "What the hell made you pick this job?" And I say, "Well, y'all are hiring." Right. And I mean, it took me like 4 months in, and I was 22 at the time. And I was like, this is not for me. So luckily I had the foresight then to say, hey, I'm 22. I can figure something else out. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's not this.
Yeah.
So, and here I am. So it worked out. But I want to talk to you kind of about, being a realtor. Homeowners, obviously in Texas, our ACs work overtime.
Yeah.
Especially these last couple summers. This one, honestly, it hasn't been that bad.
It's been mild.
Yeah. Last summer, I mean, it was record-setting stuff. I mean, it was so hot. Literally, the water main to my house broke because the ground moved so much. Oh my
gosh!
I've never even heard of that. Like my yard bubbled up, and I'm like, what is it? So, what are some common problems that you see that homeowners make that shorten the life of their AC? Because that's when they go to sell. Like the AC, the roof, and the foundation are the big three. So, what are some things you see that if you just did maybe one thing here and there that could help add a couple years of life to your AC, what are those things?
Maintenance. Number one, 100% is maintenance, because a lot of people don't do their biannual maintenances, which is spring and fall. They kind of just use their air conditioner and expect it to run every day with no problems. And that's unreasonable. There's so much that goes into it. I know here in League City, my water at my home, I live in League City as well, is a little bit harder. So clogged drain lines happen very often from the minerals in the water. We blow those out every time we come for like a spring maintenance. When we do your AC, we look at that. And then of course, rinsing outside for anyone who's replacing your AC unit. You always want to lift it up off the ground if you can, especially if you have animals. A lot of people will let their dogs out back and their dogs will pee on their air conditioner, like on the edge of it, So like they'll use it as like a fire hydrant of sorts, and that'll eat away at the coil. Anybody who's in the Galveston area who has that saltwater exposure, we always suggest to them to go out every 30 days and rinse the salt water off of their outdoor condensing unit, because those coils are just made of aluminum. Yeah. The fins are very thin. And so anything like that, maintenance related and consistent maintenance, pouring bleach or vinegar down your drain lines, having us or any of your AC guy come out twice a year, once in the spring for your AC, once in the fall for your heater, and then going outside and rinsing your outdoor condensing units, changing your filters. That consistency will greatly extend the life of your system by years.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing will make you regret not servicing your unit more than when you get home from somewhere and it's kind of like that. You're like, is it a little bit hot? Yeah, I think it's kind of hot. And then
it's so hot. Yeah.
Dude, this is crazy. So my son was born April 30th. The night of the 29th, I'm like feeling that humid feel in my house. I'm like, bro, like I looked at my wife and she's pregnant out to here. I'm like, it's hot in here, right? She's like, yeah. So I call the AC company and they're like, yeah, we can't get out there tomorrow. Sorry, this was before I knew you.
It's okay.
But they were like, yeah, we can get out there tomorrow morning at like 8:30. She wakes me up at 2:30 in the morning. We've got to go to the hospital.
Baby's coming.
Yes. And he came.
Yeah.
So I'm at the hospital with my newborn and I'm like, Mom, you've got to go meet the AC guy at the house because I cannot bring this newborn baby home to a freaking, hot, soupy house. Turned out to be a capacitor. Simple. But then like the other day it happened again and we slept all night. I'm like, that freaking capacitor went out again. So we sleep all night, no covers. It's just like that warm feeling in the air. Just have the fan on. You're just like dying. Well, I woke up the next day and, I don't know why I thought to do this, but I pulled the thermostat off the wall and let it like die. And then I stuck it back on. AC came right on.
Do you have a Nest?
It's a Linux.
Okay. Yeah, because the Nest will do that. We have a lot of trouble with the Nest thermostats.
So what is that?
The Nest thermostat or your Linux system?
Both.
Well, the Nest thermostat, I'm not sure it's a known issue that there's some communication failure to the control board where you'll look at your Nest thermostat and it'll say no power to RC and it burns up control boards. I'm sure there's a reason as to why, and I'm sure anyone listening, there's a forum out there that'll explain it. I haven't researched it, but I know it does it. And we typically switch them out for a Honeywell or a Sensi. Mm-hmm. But we're Rude dealers, and Rude has the EcoNet system on theirs, which is a really great system as well. So it just depends. Every thermostat is different, but in our environment, the humidity is the biggest factor that your air conditioner faces overall, because your evaporator coil can produce up to 3 gallons of water an hour in our environment because we're just such high humidity. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what an evaporator is. It's like a dry sponge. So it absorbs whatever's in the air. So your evaporator gets dirty very quickly if you don't have a filter in, especially. And that's how you get clogged drain lines because, I mean, think about all of those minerals in the water. Those are evaporating. And if you take a 24-hour cycle, let's say it runs 18 of those. So if you have an evaporator coil and let's say it's running, and this is probably an underestimate, but 12 hours out of that. I mean, think of that. 3 gallons of water an hour and times 12 hours. And think of all the minerals in the water that's evaporating. And all of that goes into this little 3/4 PVC pipe. Mm-hmm. So if you're not taking care of those drain lines, making sure those drain lines are open and maintaining that system, of course it's going to clog.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to be an issue, you know?
Have you ever seen somebody get a new unit and within they just don't do anything with it?
Absolutely.
And then it's just fried?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, it happens. So thankfully though, with our Rude systems, when we put in a complete for customers, we do put a 10-year labor on it. So we offer a 10-year labor warranty with our completes. For anyone who's on a budget, we are able to take that off and they can just go with the manufacturer, the 10-year limited parts. But yeah, on our systems, we really try to, get the customers to maintenance their system. We also offer what's called the Comfort Club program. So you can either pay for your maintenances as you go, or you can do a monthly payment so you don't have to pay for them in one chunk, especially for anyone who's on a budget.
Yeah. Or
like my mom, for example, she's 77. She lives on Social Security. It's much easier to take that. We have 3 different levels, $14, $16, $18 hit a month rather than us coming out and doing a $99 maintenance.
Yeah.
So
you said Honeywell. So I just sold a brand new home in Sedona. Mm-hmm. Sedona. Everything on it was Honeywell. Yeah. I noticed that. I was looking at their thermostats. They're cool. But the construction guy, and I've noticed in the last couple years, and I think it's something to do with the fact that these homes are so airtight now, with the spray.
They're spray foamed. Yeah.
So he was like, don't ever really run this AC below 70, 71. Mm-hmm. Why?
So that's going to be humidity related, but realistically, if a proper heat load calculation was ran, so that's going to be usually whenever we do a complete, we run a manual J, D, and S, and that's a program that we have that runs a heat load calculation called RightSoft, and we have an engineer on staff. His name is Jeremy, and he helps us run those as well. And all of these systems are tested at 70 degrees at the warehouse. So, for example, American Standard comes from Tyler, Texas. That's where they test everything. Goodman is here locally. They're on the north side of Houston. But everything, the universal standard is to test it at 70 degrees. So all of our literature and all of our data and all of our spec sheets is balanced off of that. It's off of that 70 degrees.
Yes, because I've had inspections come back where it'll say, you tell them, I can't remember if it's summertime and it's too hot or if it's wintertime and it's too cold. Is it that you can't test the heat in the winter, in the summer or the winter? I can't remember what it is.
You can. But it is, so it's the AC. If it's below 70 degrees, we'll get a different reading on the pressures,
That's
on the
what
refrigerant pressures. Yeah.
And but it was something with the heat, the differential on the intake and the
delta T, the 20-degree differential that they're looking for. Yeah. That's a very basic one that a lot of home inspectors use. And it is something that we, when we do a diagnostic on a system, let's say we were to call tech support, or we were to ask like our brand representative, for example, what the, like maybe we're having trouble with it and we're asking for troubleshooting assistance. Like I said, tech support, right? We call these guys. That there's a few factors that they want, and the delta T is one of them. So we do try, it should be around 20 if the system's working appropriately. And that can also come down to airflow. Airflow can also be a factor in a delta T reading, but usually that is something we'll use in diagnostics as well.
I can't tell you how many times that comes up.
Yeah, it's normal.
The differential. I mean,
on home inspections reports, yeah, we see them a lot. Or we'll have people who will call us. We just did a real estate inspection in Galveston for some condos. I think it was at the Palms last week. And that's something they very specifically ask for. They want to know everything is working appropriately. If there's any issues that you notice, what the operating pressures are, what the delta T is, what the set point of the thermostat is. Are we reaching set point? And if it's a smart thermostat, it'll also give you the humidity reading in the home. So
yeah. Yeah, mine does that. Yeah, the humidity's real. I mean, I know a lot. My home has a dehumidifier, and Marbella, aka Mold Bella. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh God, yeah, but the class action lawsuit.
Yeah, they had to go in and put those in all those homes.
Yep.
Yeah, homes like 100-year-old house. Those houses, they didn't. That was before AC. So like, if a breeze came through, like the breeze would go through the house almost.
Yeah.
My grandpa, he grew up in North Texas, and he would tell me like when a dust storm came through, they would have to put blankets over everything in the house because the dust would just come right in the house.
Yeah.
Like that's how those homes were built. Like these homes now, it's great that we're so like, if you cut the AC, it'll still be comfortable in here for like 12 hours.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, it's like an igloo ice chest. Like if there's moisture here, it's going to come out somewhere.
Yeah, and that closed cell insulation, it can completely change our heat load calculations. And it is one of the most important questions when we're running our heat loads that we have to know the answer to. A heat load is actually quite complicated, but we have really great systems. And like I said, we have an engineer on staff who helps us with that, just to double check everything. So I run them through RightSoft myself, but then I go through Jeremy and I have him double check everything. Like we have to know which way the front door is facing, north, east, southwest. We have to know windows, single pane, double pane. We have to know insulation factor, insulation value, closed cell versus like blow-in fiberglass, anything like that. The construction of the home, when we talk about like siding, is it on a foundation? Especially in Galveston, are we on stilts? Because when you're on stilts, you have a completely different heat load factor underneath the home that has to be taken into consideration.
Oh, because you're getting heat from the bottom too.
Yeah, and there's moisture.
Yeah.
So that's, and at the end of the day, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at humidity displacement. We're looking at moisture removal.
Yeah.
And we're looking at heat displacement. So we have to know how many BTUs are in each room, where the BTU displacement is. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but usually for our replacement customers, especially someone who's replacing the whole thing, including ductwork, we will always do one of the heat load calculations, unless it's an insurance claim. If we're dealing with an insurance claim, homeowners insurance, home warranties, we don't run heat loads for those.
So in what circumstance would your homeowner's insurance cover your AC?
Like when we just had the hurricane. When the hurricane came through, if anybody had damage, they made a homeowner's claim. Maybe a tree fell on it, maybe some debris hit it, anything. Or if we have hail will sometimes dent the coils if like it's small hail and it gets in. And then we work with home warranty companies as well, which, as you know, as a realtor, a lot of times those are sold as like a reassurance with a house sale. And so we'll work with those as well. We're with about 14 different companies that we work with home warranties, which come mostly on the backside of real estate sales.
Yeah. So that new home I told you with the Honeywell stuff, I noticed we were doing our final walkthrough, and we went around the side of the house, and the houses are pretty close together, but the unit is on the side of the house in between two houses. And I was telling my buyers, I was like, this is actually really good because y'all's outside unit is going to be out of the sunlight for all but a couple hours a day.
Nice. Yeah.
If you have a unit just baking in the sun all day, that's not good. Right.
Yeah. Well, it adds a heat factor to the compressor. I mean, the compressor is protected and it is insulated, but I mean, there's only so much you can do. I know I've seen systems where they look like a little octopus and they missed the outdoor condensing unit, and people say it helps, but what you're going to create is mineral buildup on the aluminum from the spraying and the hard water. I mean, sure, if you have a fully filtered water system, it can be beneficial, but who has that on their whole home?
No one.
Not many. So I know I've seen some people, and I think they sell them on Amazon. There's like little shades you can put over them. The main thing is the whole point of your condenser is heat displacement. So if you're going to put something over your condenser, it needs to be like 5 foot above it, 8 feet above it.
To where it can get that heat out.
Yeah, every tonnage has a different like CFM displacement from the outdoor condensing fan motor. So I'm not going to give like a general recommendation of as far as how many feet, but they make, I think they're called like sunshades or something. And realistically, they let air flow through it and they just cover. But that needs to be like at your roof line. That should not be like a foot over the unit. And I've seen a lot of people do that, or they'll build these really cute little fences or something around their AC. No, there is mechanical codes that say how far things should be from your AC. And it's typically, 36 inches. It's like 3 feet on all sides. So when you put these cute little fences in, you're suffocating your condenser.
AC is one of those things where I don't even try.
Yeah.
Like, dude, just call the people that know what they're doing.
Right.
I've tried before. I had something happen. I think when I thought that capacitor was going for the second time, I like looked up a YouTube video and like 3 seconds in, I was like, nah.
Never mind.
Yeah. It was like, get out your voltmeter. And as soon as he said voltmeter, like I have a voltmeter because I know how to test like 110 sockets.
Sure.
But not to that level. So
yeah.
Well, cool. Is there where can people find you online, or in any way people could get a hold of you?
Yeah, so we are SharpeSouthernServices.com. You can give us a call at 281-710-3713. You can email us, SharpeSouthernServices@gmail.com. We're local. You can pretty much get a hold of us any way you'd like. All of our girls, either they're A, in the office, or B, they can be reached remotely. So when we aren't in the office, everything goes to a live person. Nothing goes to a robot. You may get an answering machine, but that's only because we all have the ability to work remotely. So
okay, where's your office?
It's here in League City.
On what's your address?
Oh, we don't really give out our principal address, but we're near South Shore.
Okay.
So cool. We're off of South Shore in League City. And like I said, our girls, they're either A, in the office, or B, they work remotely. So a lot of times, especially if it's after hours or something, or days like today where it's been raining for 3 days, we're not going to make everybody come into the office. We let the girls work
Okay. So
home.
that's just more, that's not like a storefront. It's like where y'all's headquarters.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Understood.
Yeah. Because we service customers. So if there's an issue, we're going to come to your home. We just, I don't know. I know some local companies, they do have, big warehouses and big offices, and there's value in that. It's just not for us.
Got you. And your Instagram?
And Instagram is the same. I think it's I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure it's Sharpe Services TX.
Okay.
Texas.
I mean, if you search Sharpe Services, it should pop right up.
It's Sharpe with an E too.
Yeah, with an E. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming. I
Yes,
enjoyed
sir.
it. And we will talk to y'all on the next episode.